Hey guys, welcome to Sharp Sunday Sampler, where we explore Sharp Sports bets using tools and data from the Sharp App team and the DFS Army team and hear opinions from them. And we break them down to give you a small sample of plus EV player props that you might want to take for this upcoming Sunday slate. And they are Salvin Ahmed, KJ Osborne, Jonathan Taylor, and Jacoby Myers. So let's start it off jumping to DFS Up North from DFS Army to hear his first take.
Throw a TD to him. I actually really like KJ Osborne as well. I think he's going to get double-digit targets this game. So kind of where I'm at with the Vikings this week is I know people really like Jordan Addison, and I hope my Vikings fan inside hopes that he crushes. But I sort of think that what's going to happen this week is that Addison's role sort of stays the same as a rookie. And then we see more target share going to KJ Osborne and TJ Hawkinson. The offense is going to look quite a bit different, I believe. We're not going to see Jordan Addison just slide into that Justin Jefferson role. That's not going to happen. All right. They run different route trees. Like it's just I don't foresee that happening. So we're going to run a very vanilla-y type of offense, the Vikings are, which should be fine against the Bears. And they're going to sort of dink and dunk their way down the field. It's going to be tough.
So what I'm hearing from DFS Up North is something that I agree with as well, and that is that Justin Jefferson was, for the most part, the main offense of the Minnesota Vikings. And his target share has to go to someone. Now, who that is going to be is the question. Now, if we're of the opinion that Jordan Addison is not going to slide into that role, and TJ Hawkinson is still going to command a fair amount of targets like he already has, being that second option, I'm looking towards KJ Osborne. And in a game like this, where the projected total is 44, the winds are 17 miles per hour right now, there's some expected rain, you are going to want to throw to a dependable receiver. And I think that guy is KJ Osborne, especially when you hear DFS Up North say that the strategy might be to dink and dunk. So if the target share is going to go to KJ Osborne, I'm not looking to necessarily bet on the over receiving yards, but I'm looking to bet over on the KJ Osborne receptions. So let's look at the Sharp app Proptimizer. I have it already loaded up. And here you can see that the Proptimizer likes over 3.5 with a slight edge, 3.95 at minus 113 on Caesars. So I opened it up here. You want to always make sure that you're betting at the lowest juice. That's the best way to save money and gain EV in the long run. So you have a small edge predicted by the Proptimizer, and if you throw in that extra angle of KJ Osborne getting the receptions instead of Jordan Addison, I can see this being a bit more of a play than what is first let on. So I'm going to lock that in. KJ Osborne. Let's move on to the next. Salvin Ahmed.
I could see a scenario, John, where Raheem Mostert, as he was referred up until this year, Mostert, because he's never made it through a season uninjured. And as a matter of fact, he really is an injury machine. But I see a crazy scenario where Mostert gets hurt. Salvin Ahmed comes in and wins the Millie Maker at 0.05% ownership. I can even see.
So basically, what they're saying is that they don't expect Raheem Mostert to be a dependable player throughout the entire game, which is fair. He's had a lot of injuries in the past. And we need to look towards the information that's being given to us. So the line opened up at minus 13.5 for the Miami Dolphins, and since that time, it's moved to 14.5. And what's that saying is that Vegas expects them at one point to be up by 3 touchdowns. Now, if they're up by 3 touchdowns, would it be wise to keep running Mostert into the ground and taking up all those rushing opportunities? And my answer would be no. We just heard that Mostert has an injury. Salvin Ahmed is very capable of doing the job. So I think at one point during this game, we're going to see a shift in the amount of carries from Mostert to Ahmed. And I see that happening more towards the second half. So this is why I think that the best play, in my opinion, is to take a second half anytime touchdown score with Salvin Ahmed for plus 550. Now, not everyone is going to have that option, so there are a few alternatives. One, you can do last touchdown score, which should still provide a bit of value for that. Or you can wait until halftime, observing the live anytime touchdown bet of Salvin Ahmed and wait for a good price. So if you get anything above plus 500 before halftime example, I think that's a good spot to take. So with that being said, let's move on to Jakobi Meyers.
I like New England in the game. Should be a low-scoring game. The New England defense hasn't played as bad as those scores implied. If you kind of look at the stats in those games, it's just been the offense that is just giving.
They're giving up the ball in horrible position.
The defense is still solid here. And I mean, if you watch the Vegas game on Monday night, I don't think you're all overly impressed with how that team's looked. Matter of fact, that offensive line looked really bad. So this is the reason Jacobs is struggling. Now, Jacobs had a good points night, but if you watch the game, he didn't have a good football night. And it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, so I was actually fortunate enough to watch this game live. And of course, you can tell by the colors that I'm wearing that it wasn't a great outcome for the team that I was rooting for. But what I wanted to say was that everything that he said was true. And when you get to experience the game live, you are able to see things that you simply can't on the television. And it was very apparent watching in real time that they were not getting anywhere on the ground game. Josh Jacobs had immediate pressure, looked visibly frustrated on the sideline, and Davante Adams was completely covered up. They did not look at him. The first looks were always going to Jakobi Meyers, and I think that's going to happen again for this game. And you could argue that the reason for that is because he was covered by Jaire Alexander of the Green Bay Packers. And that's a good argument to make, and I think that may have contributed to it. But here's the thing. We are dealing with Coach Belichick for this game. And Coach Belichick has a very, very good reputation of taking away the number one weapon from the opposing team. And that is Davante Adams. So if Bill Belichick focuses on shutting down Davante Adams, who's the main benefactor? Again, it's Jakobi Meyers. And like I said in the previous spot, I think the play is for receptions as opposed to receiving yards. So again, after I wrap this video up, that's another place I'm going to hit. And I think that we can look it up on the Sharp app to see exactly where his projections lie. So we will go Jakobi Meyers. And we have over 56.5 yards. So already the Proptimizer is agreeing with what we are thinking. And we'll scroll down a little bit. And we have over 4.5. Now, granted, it's minus 160 on most sites, but we have a projection of 5.9785. So I think that if you want to take the most value, you'd probably hit up at MGM at over 4.5 at minus 160. If you want to play on a little bit more safe side, you want to hit up the 5.5 at plus 108 on FanDuel. Now, after seeing these projections, I don't mind hitting the over receiving yards as well. And I do think he's going to be the whole offense. So let's wrap it up with our last but not least player, Jonathan Taylor.
I think that we're going to see Hurst get more involvement. He's a big target, and they're just not utilizing him enough. All right. Next up, we got like the leverage spot of the century, people. Jonathan Taylor. What are we doing here? 1% owned. Like, I love this. He didn't get paid to be the backup to Zach Moss, right? I get that he's not getting a full workload, but with Anthony Richardson out, he's gonna see more work than he did last week. The Jags have been okay against the run, but like this is JT. All right. I think there's potential that we're a week early on the breakout game. I don't hate that, though. I'm willing to take that chance on a player of Jonathan Taylor's caliber at the price and ownership combination. Next up, another running back that I really like on FanDuel and DraftKings, right? I've got him listed here on DraftKings, but he's absolutely viable on FanDuel, is David Montgomery. Jahmyr Gibbs is out. They ruled him out today. It is Friday.
So I think David Montgomery is a viable play as well in the sports betting realm. He is talking about fantasy, but it can also translate into the sports betting arena. And here's my takeaway from that. Everyone knows that Jonathan Taylor is a top caliber running back. Many people have him as a top 3 running back, with even some of them listing him as their number 1. And Vegas is saying they don't believe he's there yet. But everyone knows that he will be. And here's the thing though. You can go out and grab an alternative line for him to hit 100 rushing yards on Bet365 for plus 1125. And that's exactly what I did. It may have gone down slightly now, but I still think there's a lot of value. And here's my thinking. If it's this week and he does get that done, next week we're never going to see these odds again. So I am okay with taking the plus 1125 right now and hoping that he beats it at a better rate of plus 1125. So I think it's roughly 8%. Actually, let's check it out. So let me throw up my Sharp app here. Make sure I put in my right password. All right, so what we're going to do is we want to go to our Sharp app tools, our bet calculator, throw in 1125, and yeah, so we get an 8.16% probability. So do I think that Jonathan Taylor is going to get 100 yards this week? Probably not. But do I think that he's going to get there more than 8.16% of the time? Yes. And if that's my line of thinking, and I believe that's a strong probability of happening, I'm going to be gaining EV over the long run. And I feel like as a sports bettor, someone that wants to make money over the long run, these are the chances and opportunities that you want to take. So there you have it, guys. Let's just do a quick wrap up. So we have Jordison Addison, receptions over. We have Jacoby Myers, receptions over. We have Jonathan Taylor, 100 plus rushing yards, alt line. And I believe the last one is Salvon Ahmed to get a second half anytime touchdown score. I'm hoping you guys learned a little bit of something from this video. And if you want to hear more or learn more, hit up the Sharp app. We have a link and QR code to sign up for that. And subscribe, hit like, and stay tuned for more tools and advice. This is the Sharp Surgeon signing off. See you guys.